if then STEM ambassador. And so we have the phrase like, if she can see it, then she can be it. And for me, like that was definitely one of those moments. Like I saw this woman being represented as a game developer and something clicked latently in my head that, oh, this is something I can do.
It's not just her building empathy for the containers that of the community and where she lives as a whole.
And then like over time it becomes like a platform and they kind of like remove the ability to like
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. I am so excited to see you all and to get started with today's code chat. So let's hop right in. So welcome to Brown Girl Gamer Code, a leading digital community for women and femmes of color in gaming and tech. It was created out of the need to have a space, not only to connect with others like us, but also to build a platform where our stories and contributions in these industries are centered and amplified. Our mission at BGGC is to advocate for representation, equity, and opportunity for marginalized identities in the gaming and tech industries. In the face of rampant toxicity, exclusion, and being undervalued, we resist. So before we hop into this interview, I have a couple of helpful items for our viewers to enjoy your experience. So we have some special commands in chat for your convenience. Please type !chat to see all of the social links for our amazing guests today. Lastly, for closed captioning, please use the captions extension on our channel. In addition to that, this VOD will be available on YouTube with captions as well, so keep an eye out for that. All right, let's meet our guests. It is an honor to welcome you all to our May Code Chat featuring Ashley Nguyen DeWitt. Ashley Nguyen DeWitt is an Emmy-nominated voice director, currently working in animation and video games. Prior to her work in animation, she worked in commercial voice casting. Her directing credits include projects for Netflix, Warner Brothers, PBS, Cartoon Network, Amazon, and others. Her casting and voice directing credits include Emmy Award-winning series Ada Twist Sciences, which was nominated for Outstanding Preschool Animated Series, Tiny Toons Looney University, Jessica's Big Little World, The Second Best Hospital in the Galaxy, Weather Hunters, and the Steven Universe Anti-Racism Initiative. She's also provided voices for Barbie Dreamhouse Adventures, singing vocals for Tall Girl 2, as well as the vocals for the King Arthur Baking Company's 2020 holiday campaign, The Power of Baking. And the song for this campaign, Rise Again, is so beautiful. Ashley and I got to connect over our love for cartoons, specifically Hey Arnold, and I'm thrilled for you all to get to know more about her as well. So without further ado, let's welcome Ashley to the show.
Hi, hello.
Yay.
Hey, y'all.
Welcome, Ashley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Hold on one second. The stream is going a little rogue. Let me see. Get you back on. There we go.
Hi, hello.
There we go. Hi, Ashley. Welcome in. It is so wonderful to have you here.
It's so great to be here.
Welcome, Ashley. So welcome to Brown Girl Gamer Code. We're super excited to sit down with you and chat with you today. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's a little overcast here in LA where I'm at, which is rare, but welcome. Yeah. And yeah, it's been a good week. It was just Mother's Day. Yeah. I just saw my mom came into town and I saw her and my aunts and my granny. My granny's 101 years old. So spent some time with her this week. I know, it's crazy. She's awesome. So it was good to spend time with family this weekend. Yeah.
Yes. Well, first of all, This diva, 101.
Please, I
Like,
literally. She's so funny and she's so wonderful. And it's always nice, you know, talking to her and hearing her stories and stuff.
yes, that's awesome. I absolutely love that. So let's hop into our chat. So first thing, my first question is, and this is a question that I always start the show with, is of course tell us about yourself, but also what got you into playing video games? Because I find that the story is always different for everybody.
Yeah. So I'm Ashley Nguyen DeWitt. I grew up in the Bay Area. My mom is from LA. My dad is from Vietnam. So I'm mixed Vietnamese. And it was my dad. My dad got me started in video games. He was always really into like pinball when he was growing up and like those arcade cabinets. And so when you could buy, he was saying that he bought those home, video game systems for us, but it was really for him. And so like he bought me a Sega Genesis when I was in elementary school. And that's what started me into playing video games. And then he just kept buying the new systems every year. And then him and my brother and I would play and still continue to play to this day.
I love that. First of all,
Yeah.
Sega Genesis is classic, absolutely classic, and a great system to start with, honestly.
Yes, I love my Sega Genesis.
Yes. So do you have a favorite video game of all time?
It changes a lot. Like when I was a kid, it was Crash Bandicoot. I was obsessed with Crash Bandicoot. But as I've gotten older, I think the most recent, probably a game that I could go back to and just it has everything that I love is this game called Spiritfarer. Have you ever played it?
I've heard of Spiritfarer is a great game.
I love Spiritfarer. It's like a cozy game that's also a farm sim. It's about grief, a lot of allegories about grief and death that I just really appreciate. And like my husband and I play games together. And we put a lot of hours into that game when we got it. And it's just really, I don't know, it's something about it that really speaks to me. So
yeah, and honestly, it's a popular one in the community, especially like the indie community or just the gaming community in general. I know in our community, we've had a lot of members who have played Spiritfarer and love it. It is a great game. I really appreciate games that make you think and also just kind of tap into you emotionally and touch on topics like grief, because it's one thing that we all experience at some point in our lives. So absolutely. Yeah, it's a great game. What would you say is the first game that inspired you?
The first game that inspired me it's so funny. So probably Ocarina of Time, the N64 Zelda game. I know everyone's like Majora's Mask is better, and I mean yes, but like it was the first game that I really got invested in the storyline. And like Link is a silent protagonist. There isn't like a lot of like dialogue and that sort of stuff in that game, but like I just love the storytelling. I loved the music in it. The music was really big for me. And being able to like find the songs and play them on the ocarina, like I was obsessed with just like pulling up the ocarina and just jamming by myself. But yeah, that's probably the first game that like really inspired me to get into gaming.
Yes, I love that. I haven't played Ocarina of Time myself, but I've watched people stream it. Like I watched people play it, and I just in like observing, like I see how popular the game is. Like people love that game.
It's so good. And it's like I have a lot of memories of just like playing until we fall asleep and then like waking up to like the opening screen with the music and just like the horrors and just like it's like very nostalgic for me.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I love when games do that. I feel like I also have memories of just falling asleep to a game. I'm playing it and just, especially, because back then the consoles did not turn off. Like they stayed
They
they stayed on. I remember I used to keep my PlayStation 2 on. Like,
Yeah.
wake
It was
back.
hot.
Yeah, it was hot. It sounded like it's about to fly away, but it was still running. Yes, the old consoles, absolutely.
Yeah.
So who are some people in either voice directing or just like the industry of voice directing, casting, acting in that industry that you look up to or maybe influence you positively?
Well, the first person I can shout out is like my mentor. Her name is Christy Reed. She is a voice and casting director who took me under her wing and really advocated for me as a woman of color to be in like this job. And she's super cool. Her credit, she has so many credit. Like I couldn't even like name off all of the credits that she has, but like the big ones that really gravitated for me were she's a voice and casting directors for Adventure Time and Steven Universe. And like those are two like shows that really I just identified with. And when I was like, of course Christy was the one who like voice directed that. Like it didn't even like, it wasn't even a surprise that she was the casting and voice director of some of my favorite series. She's just been such a great resource for me. Even now that I've like flown the nest and I'm doing my own thing, like she's still such a great resource for me. And then I'm going to say Julia Bianco Scheffling and Chip Beeman from the Help Network. Help Network, it's like a creative services production company that works a lot in games, and it like they really focus on inclusive storytelling and inclusive like productions across the board, and like cultural consulting, and like they're the ones who brought me into video game directing, who offered me my first game and just kind of have been helping me in that part of my career. So
what was your first game that you
I can't say it.
Okay.
Yeah, but
we ain't even. I didn't even ask that. What? Who?
Games. What are
games? What are games?
Yeah, but yeah. So it's been really cool working with them and learning from them as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that you, like the folks that you mentioned, also had a hand in like your career and like, helping you get, move forward in your career. Like, I think that's very important to have people in your corner, especially in this industry. Like, I would say like you're the first like woman of color voice director that I've ever met. And we like voice directing is all around us, like in all the shows that we watch, the video games that we play, like somebody has to direct the voice acting, like, so, and it's really, I'm honored to like have, met you at this point, but it's still like just really eye-opening of, how maybe it's not as common or commonly known, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people, when I tell them what I do, they're like, what is that? And that it's a fair question because it's a very niche job. And like, I will say like the people that have brought me into it and that have supported me have always just really been championing me in this. Like, I wouldn't have gotten nominated for an Emmy without Christy. Like, for everything that she taught me is what I've used, and like a lot of the things that I learned and like used with, was from her. And like but yeah, nobody knows what I do. They're like, so
well, that's like, perfect for the next question that I have. That's actually a perfect segue into my next question. Like, what is the art of voice directing, and how would you describe the difference between like voice directing versus casting versus acting for people who may not be familiar?
So like, if I'm explaining it to a child, I'm like, I help the voices go. But like for voice directing, it's like the actual directing of actors in a recording booth for their voice records. So I'm guiding the actors to deliver like the desired performances for their character within the story. Casting is like finding and hiring those actors.
Okay.
And then acting is like the performance of characters using only your voice, the voice acting part of it. So that's kind of how I would break down the three.
That is a
parts of
perfect.
it.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That is a perfect description of, voice directing, helping the actors go, helping them perform. And then
Yeah.
acting is the art of performing. And then casting is the hiring and firing of the, voice actors. So
yeah. And they're three
yeah.
different jobs and three different parts of your brain. So
yeah,
yeah.
I bet. Then I can only imagine having to do all three at some point. Like, and having
It's
to tap into
it's
that,
hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
So when it comes to voice directing, how do you prepare yourself to work with the talent and guide them through what's needed for the role?
I mean, well, I read my scripts. That's a huge thing. Making sure I do a lot of script analysis. Like, I do a lot of work reading what's happening with everybody, who is coming in, why are they there. Like, in a script, especially animation, it's like script by script, so it's episode by episode. And I make sure that I'm as aware of context as I can possibly be, so that I can guide them to where they need to be. And so like that's what I do to prepare working with talent. And I go like through the scripts line by line, being like, oh, so this should have this certain emotion, and I'll like write it down for me, or like the intention would be here. How do we get that person to make their way towards that emotion? So like if you look at my script, it looks like a serial killer like wrote through, because I'm just like making notes and it's like all over the place, like arrows and like colors and stuff. But yeah, so it's just like any sort of acting directing form is like script analysis, making sure you have the context, understanding what producers want, asking questions, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I love that you said your script, when you're done with it, it looks like a serial killer, because just marking it up. But that's good. Like, yeah, like having to read through the script and being able to, because I feel like you also have to be able to tap into the emotions that are needed. Like, in addition,
Absolutely.
you have to be like on the same vibration as the actor, and you kind of have to know before they do what's needed, so that when they get in, you already know, okay, this scene right here, or this line right here, needs anger, or it needs frustration, or it needs happy, it needs, things like that. So yeah, like I imagine like the pre-work is probably loaded even more so than like being in the studio.
Yeah. Because sometimes you'll get in the studio and like there's things change, like scripts change, lines change, or the actor comes in with something completely out of the box where you're like, oh no, that works too. How do we pivot? How do we make sure that we're staying within like the world, that sort of thing? So it's only one person's interpretation, but like when you actually get into the studio, I find it to be a very collaborative space. So.
Yeah. I love that. So when did you decide that voice directing was something that you wanted to pursue? And like, how did you even learn that this was an option for a career?
Yeah. So for voice directing specifically, I was working as an assistant, like right off, like maybe a couple years out of college, for a casting company, the second voice casting company that I worked for. And I ended up, this is back in the day where auditions were in person. So people would come to audition in our office, and we had like a little booth that they would come in, and like my boss would direct them for the auditions, and that's how we worked with the clients and stuff. And there was a certain time where I was the one that ended up booth directing actors. So I would be the one like directing them for their commercial auditions, and we would get all sorts of commercial auditions for adults and for kids. And we would get some animated auditions. And I realized that like I really liked working with actors in that capacity. Like I was a theater major in college. And while I was doing this, I was also part-time doing Shakespeare in Griffith Park here in LA, like as an actor. So like I was still acting and working in like a theater sort of place, and I realized that I really just liked working with actors and guiding them to where they needed to be. And I gravitated towards those times where I could be in the booth to direct more like animated and kid stuff. Yeah, and that's what brought me into animation. I was like, I should not be working in commercials. I should be working in animation.
Yes. Animation seems a lot more fun.
It is.
Yeah. So in my research of you, you mentioned like you worked at like a casting company, but I learned that you started as an intern for the commercial voice casting company. How did you come across like that opportunity?
So there's a woman who came to my school. I went to Cal State Northridge here in LA. And she was doing a master class, like a voiceover master class for the theater department. So you could like sign up or come in and watch like what this master class was, where she kind of explained to us what voice acting was. And I thought it was interesting, and I didn't want to go home for the summer. So I offered to help her to her car, and I asked her if she needed an intern.
Yes.
I was just like, you need help? Can I
listen.
work for you?
Yes.
And yeah, they did. So I interned with them in between like my junior and senior year, and then I worked part-time for them like in their voiceover school. I was like a sound engineer for their voiceover classes for a little bit. So I also learned how to like work on the sound side, and like with like their teachers and stuff, and kind of got to see what their classes were for voice acting and absorbing it that way, as well as like working in their casting office. So yeah.
Listen, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
No, you know, and I was a lot more spunky and brazen when I was younger. So I'm glad that I was just like, I don't want to go home. Y'all need somebody to work for you.
And it worked out. It worked
out. Yeah.
It worked out. You know, you took that risk, and you know, I think the message there is like just kind of seeing the opportunity in really anything and trying for it, like, because you never know. I always tell myself that let them tell you no, so I don't tell myself no when they actually, it could have been a yes. They could have been like, yeah, sure, but like if I tell myself no, I would never know that. So you know, it's just so important to you got to tell yourself yes first, so that when the opportunity presents itself, you just kind of go for it. So I love that you went for it. Look at what you've learned and picked up from there. You know, so a follow-up question to that is, what's something that from that experience, you know, interning, what's something that you learned from that experience that you still carry with you today?
You should always be nice to everyone in production, regardless of their status. If it's an intern, assistant, executive, because you never know who someone is going to be in the future.
100%.
Because I used to be an intern.
So you should always be kind. Always be kind to everyone.
Kindness, and I remember who was nice to me and who wasn't. So.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, all the way from the janitor to the owner, like and everybody in between. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you should always be, because you should just be kind in general. First of all, just because it's the right thing to do. You know, like you
it takes more effort to be mean than it does.
It does. Being kind is free.
Yeah.
And being mean will cost you.
Yeah.
It literally will. It's expensive.
Literally will. Yeah.
You know?
So that's what I learned being an intern.
I love that. It's a very important message. So after this internship, you worked in casting and talent relations at DreamWorks.
I did.
So, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's where you met with Patricia, right? That's Yes, Patricia. Yes, she was a guest on our show last year. So, shout out to Patricia.
Yes, up girl.
Do you have a favorite like project that you did while you were like casting for during your time here?
Yeah, I mean, like, so when I was at DreamWorks, I worked more in the talent relations than in the casting,
Okay.
which was great because like I was still under the casting umbrella. And at that point I'd had about 4 years of experience in casting, and being on the talent relations side was really nice because then I got to work with like the studios and the execs and the production and the actual actors in person, and kind of really understand the pipeline and the flow of animation, and like the agents and stuff. So it was really nice because it was a bit more hands-on with people. But a project that I really loved working on was this show called Harvey Street Kids. And it was a very cute show. It's based off of the Harvey comics, and like Harvey comics are like very old comic series that had characters like Casper the Friendly Ghost and Richie Rich and these characters, Audrey, Lotta, and Dot, and like it was about a group of kids getting into like shenanigans on their street, where it was Saturday every day. So it was like a lot of fun, like really, really fun, exciting. I got to meet a lot of like really cool voice actors, and some that I still work with today. Now that like I'm a director, that I get to work with again, and like, and yeah, that's probably my favorite project. And it was like, and the EPs were super nice, which is huge. Like when your executive, when your showrunner is like a nice person, and it made it fun to work on that show. So
Yeah. Again, kindness.
kindness.
It's
free.
Yep. I know so speaking of DreamWorks, some of my personal favorites were The Prince of Egypt. Oh my God. When I tell you I was obsessed with that as a kid,
the music
I'm talking
is
about
so good.
So good. Talking about my VHS tape. I still have it. I'm surprised it still works because I ran it so much. And Ants was another one that I loved.
Nice.
And Home, which is
with Rihanna.
Oh my God. I love that movie. It's so cute. I love it.
Very cute movie. Yeah, and they did a TV series based on
I need more. I need more of Rihanna in animation, and you can voice direct her.
Yeah, I know. She got all them kids. Come back.
Right.
No, what's so funny is like when I applied for DreamWorks, it was interesting because like when I was 10, my aunt worked for DreamWorks, and so like I visited her on campus, and I actually have a picture of me, my brother, and my cousin like on the fountain that's on the DreamWorks campus, like pretending to fall in. And so like I brought that with me when I started working there, and like actually had Jeffrey Katzenberg sign that picture when he was leaving. So I was like, this is like a crazy thing. Like this is a studio that's been around me for a long time, so it was really cool being able to work for them for when I did.
Yeah, that's some really good foreshadowing for you. I love that. So for somebody who may be wanting to get their start in the casting and talent side of things at a company like DreamWorks, where would you recommend they start?
Internships. Like I feel like they still do internships for students, like, but just internships in general. Like they do it by season. Or assistant, like trying to get an assistant job. And even if it's like not directly in casting, like starting to be an assistant like in the company, and then voicing what your interests are when you're like having your conversations with your bosses, like that's a good way to get into like those bigger studio things.
Okay, make sure y'all write that down. So how would you describe like the current landscape for voice directing when it comes to being like a Black woman or a woman of color in the industry?
I will say that it's better than it was when I was working as like an assistant and a coordinator. When I started voice directing and like casting my own projects in 2020, which is not that long ago. And at that point, I was one of the only voice directors of color like one of like a handful of voice directors of color, not even a handful, maybe like 3 voice directors of color working in those bigger studio animated projects. And I as far as I see, it hasn't changed as much since then. Like we're still fighting for opportunities, you know, or we're getting pigeonholed into culturally specific projects, which is great. Like I would rather be the person doing those projects for my community as opposed to like someone who doesn't understand the like colloquial conversational things, or just like implications of certain words or certain directions that you're giving like actors of color. Like I would, you know, I would much rather it be me. But like during the pandemic, the need was greater because everything shut down. And so a lot of studios funneled money and attention into animation because that's something that you can make remotely, right? And so I feel like during the pandemic, like 2020, 2021, there was a boom in projects. And as soon as people started going back into the live action spaces, money started getting pulled away from animation, and a lot of things have gotten like canceled, and we've seen it in like the new that studios are kind of moving right now. So like that's one thing. And I think also because voice directing is so niche, people like to work with who they work, and they find a comfortability to that. And I'm still a baby in this. Like I'm not the newest kid on the block, but I'm still a new kid on the block, right? So people are still learning who I am. So yeah, it's better, but it could be even better, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's really good context to know for folks who are looking to get their start, or for people who are in it and don't really know where to go next. You know, and I think still being able to like press on, and especially if it's something that you still truly want to do, like there's still success in this for you. There's still, you know what I mean? Like there's still opportunity. They may be harder to find, but it's still there. And that's enough reason to try and stick with it, because you guys are needed. Like you're needed. You're needed.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people are getting opportunities because they're making them. So a lot of independent studios are making their own animated projects and doing things, you know, on their own, which is huge. There's been like a boom in a lot of like more and diverse indie animation, because if studios won't make their projects, they'll just make them on their own. So yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like I can like relate to that myself, like in you know, the gaming realm of things. That's the reason I created this platform, is because I wanted to see myself, and I wanted to see us, and even like hosting these interviews, like that was, you know, this is a part of me creating the opportunity for myself. I know I like talking to people. I like storytelling. I like giving the platform to someone else to tell their story and helping to like bring that out of them. So here I am creating an opportunity, you know, myself, until, you know, more opportunities come my way. But like, you if it's something you really want to do and something that you believe in, like that's how you start. You create the opportunities for yourself, because those are needed too. You know what I mean? Like they matter as well.
Yeah, and I've been very lucky to like find productions and find people that I've worked with, that I've worked up with, like from like when I was an assistant, when we were assistants together, and now we're directors and executives, like that there are people that trust me, that like relationships that I've kind of forged over the past however many years it's been since I've been doing this, that still remember me and know that I'm doing this now and want to give me the opportunity or want to work with me because we're friends, or we already have like a style of communication that we really jive with each other creatively, you know, and personally. So like I'm very lucky to even have gotten any of the opportunities that I did. But honestly, again, like it was because Christy, my mentor, opened the door for me and started pitching me for stuff that she wasn't available for.
Yeah.
Like that's how I got in. So
yeah.
like, Yeah. And there's no one right way to do it, I will say. Like, there are different ways to get into this industry. Everyone has like a different story, especially for voice directing, because it's not like something that you learned in school. It's not like
Right.
a job that is often talked about. We're barely even part of the Directors Guild. Like, we're not, I don't even think we are. Like,
Wow.
we have no union. Like, so it's kind of just the Wild West, but
Yeah.
we make it work.
Yeah, you make it work. You make it work. So I'm gonna shift a little bit and hop into like your approach when it comes to voice directing. So,
Mhm.
how when it comes to like improv, how does
Okay.
improv like show up in voice acting, especially when you're like being a director? How do you help voice actors like balance improvisation while still maintaining that integrity of the script?
Well, I say it really depends on the type of show that you're working on. I work on a lot of preschool, so there's not a lot of room for improv just
Okay.
because the scripts are created in a way where it's specifically educational or in a way that has gone through so many different layers of approvals that like the script is a script.
Yep.
And like any improv could be where it's like the wording doesn't feel comfortable or confident, so we just like adjust a couple of the words to make it sound more natural, conversational. Or if like there are just like alt versions of lines, we get those based off
Yeah.
of like if an actor like pitches that, and we'll be like, yeah, that's fine, but that's not like the like the final take that we take. It's just the alt version that we
Right.
have just in case. And I think generally that is how improv is kind of handled. Like comedy shows, like adult animated series, I feel like there's more improv because it's comedy and adult. There's a little
Right.
bit more room as long as it doesn't like change the core meaning of what the scene or the moment needs. But again, like I said, it's fun to get like an option of like an ad lib or an alt, but always always record the original line as
Yeah. Yeah.
lines as they are. So that's kind of my thing where I'll be like, give me 3 in a row on this line, and then give me how you would say it,
Yeah.
and then that would be an alt, you know. Or if
Yeah.
they want to pitch a joke, I'm like, yeah, sure, you could pitch it. And then like I talk to my execs, and if they really really like it, if they want to put it up in the cut, then sure. If not, we have it as an alt and we have it as an option. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you've worked with a lot of like younger talent, like when it comes to like kids shows
Yeah.
and things like that. Do you ever, because I feel like with kids they're fun to work with. Like I feel like because they're young, they kind of don't have a lot of the overthinking and like pressures that we as adults
Yeah.
have. Like kids
Yeah.
are gonna show up and they're gonna do their thing. But so I'm curious though, if with you working with younger audiences, like have you had to like kind of guide talent who might have been like struggling to find the right voice for a character, and like how do you like help them through that?
So I will say, I know that there is an idea of voice over where it is about like the voice, which I mean, obviously it's in the name. But it's still acting. Like voice acting is still acting. So generally, if you've auditioned, you've given me a type of voice that you like have assigned to this character that you've auditioned with, and like I will say that like once you're in the booth, you're already hired based off of the voice that you did on the audition, unless they want to tweak it just a little bit. Really, what I work with is the acting and like the acting intention. So like I make sure that they're reaching their emotional boundaries, like where are their highs in emotion, where are their lows in emotion. It's like the creation of voice, that is kind of something you come in with and like you find as you're doing your scripts, but like it's performance. So it's all about context and like what making sure like the actor knows what's happening.
Right.
And that will kind of lend into what the voice becomes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how
yeah, because I mean, I get a lot of people being like, I have a good voice. Could I do voice acting? I was like, and my
have to
response was
act.
always like, do you act? Do you know how to act?
Right. You how to act.
Yeah.
Anybody can have a nice voice, but if you can't act,
yeah. Can you read out loud?
Like, right. Yeah.
So,
yeah, it seems like I'm just thinking of like, even if you're, you're being a character, or you're helping talent, you're directing them, and there's moments where their emotions have to be really, really high, and then emotions where they have to be really, really low, and they have to like kind of like go back and forth. Like what is that like for you to like help them through that?
It really depends on the actor too. Like some actors just get it, they understand. And I work with a lot of kids, as you were saying, and like, so I do a lot of referential things where I'm like, this is a moment where you're really sad. Have you ever had a moment in your life where something happened that you just weren't happy with, or you were really excited about something and you became disappointed? What was it? Okay. So the feeling that you had when that happened, that's how you're going to feel when you're saying this line. So can you say it like that? Or if it's like, have you ever had a situation where like you had your hair flat ironed and it was raining outside and you accidentally did not bring an umbrella? What did your mom say to you?
Like, I feel that.
How do you feel? Scared?
Wait a minute, because I feel like I'm being directed right now.
But it's like, like I try to be I try to at least identify it with kids too, where like I always try to find out about them and what they like and what they gravitate towards, to use that as references to help them find the emotion of what they can do.
Yeah.
And I mean, actors, I mean, that's kids. Talking to adults is a little different. Generally you can say like, you're upset, or you're ramping up into anger, or let's make sure that we're kind of, taking our time leaning into this, or maybe the proximity is closer. Like I can use words like that.
Right.
So I kind of switch it up, and then I learn the actors as I work with them. I kind of figure out like what works best with this actor. And every single time that I direct, because generally we don't direct an ensemble at this point. I haven't in a while, where I will be acting against them, and I will kind of figure out what works best after the first few session days of like, okay, this actor gravitates towards this type of direction, so that's how I direct the person. This person just likes to do it. Great, they can do it. Like, so it's a lot of work on my end to be like, okay, what does this actor like to do? Okay, we're gonna do that. Or what do they need? So
see, you really have to, just like in hearing you explain all this, it's like you really have to be the kind of person that can really like have a lot of empathy, and also just be able to, like, you have to be a people person. Like you have to people.
Yeah, my whole job is people. It's talking. I'm talking for 4 to 8 hours a session. It's constantly talking, constantly communicating, which is very interesting. And then I go home and I melt into my couch and I tell my husband that we're doing silent time for I'm so sorry. He might even be on this stream, and he might is just like, yep.
Listen, if that's valid, that is valid. Especially, it's a lot of energy that you're giving like per session. So absolutely.
He'll come home and be like, so you just sitting in the dark? And I'm like, yep.
Yeah. Because you gotta recharge. Like that's introvert. That's how we recharge. If you're introvert, like
the opposite of a solar panel, I need darkness and silence.
Yes.
But then I do it, exactly. So I can do my job and I can do it again.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. You gotta refill your cup. So, so one of your voice directing credits includes, I'm excited to talk about this one, Steven Universe Anti-Racism Initiative. Like, big deal. So with this campaign, like, aiming to teach families and children about a topic that's heavy and sensitive, like, systemic racism and things like that. Did your approach to voice acting did you have to shift like your approach at all to?
So what's fun about this project, it was the very first thing I ever directed.
The girl, not you coming in with the heavy hitter.
So I didn't even know what my style was at this point.
Right. Oh my God.
So it was my very first time voice directing, and I was very lucky to have Rebecca Sugar and Ian Jones Cordy there as like the EP creators of this series that we were doing, the writers and creators, to guide the tone and to make sure that, what we were doing in the booth was what was needed. And it was the first thing that I like also cast on my own. And so I made sure to cast authentically.
Yes.
And found kids that were really honest in their auditions to make sure that they were honest in their performance. And like, honestly, the levity came from the writing. Like, it was all very well constructed as like a short, the PSA series. And like it was, I heavily relied on my creators and the script for that one, because it was my first one. I didn't know. Yeah. I mean, I knew what I was doing in theory, but it was the first time I was doing it in practice.
Yes.
Which is crazy that was the first thing.
That is crazy. Like, you came out the gate hot.
Yeah. Don't be racist.
Right. Don't be. What your first project is, don't be racist. You know what? I think everybody's first project, if everybody first anything, you get in something, you need to do something where it says don't be racist.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
That's incredible though, for that to be your very first project. Like,
yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was cool. And it was also really, really cool because I got to work with like actors and characters that I loved, because like they had the crystal gems in it, so I got to work with those actors, and that was insane. And I was super nervous, but again, that project came from Christy. Christy was like, I know the perfect person to direct this, even though normally she would be the one directing all Steven Universe. She's like, this particular project, you should give my assistant a chance. So I'm very thankful and grateful to have been on that project, and it taught me a lot.
Yeah. Shout out to Christy.
I mean, Christy Reed, she's a goat for real though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just love that she, entrusted you and opened the door for you on like a project like this to be your first one. Like, that is I just feel like that's such a special moment and a critical moment, like for you. And I feel like a confidence booster, because I'd be like, what? This is my first project. Can't tell me nothing now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was a huge confidence booster. And I also had a lot of imposter syndrome, but it was like a balance. Like every other day, I'd be like, yeah, I'm really good at this. The other day, I'm like, what am I doing here? But now it's better. Now I'm confident. Now I know what I'm doing. But we're here.
So we're gonna hop a little bit into talking about video games again. And I know you can't speak on projects you're working on, but what I do want to know is what inspired you to go from voice directing TV animation to video games?
It's so funny. I feel like my career has been very intentional and unintentional. Like, I kind of fell into voice casting.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, might as well apply for DreamWorks. And then I got to work for DreamWorks. And then I met Christy, and like, I kind of like was like, I really like what she does. And I started working with her, and then she started pitching me, and I kind of just been going with the flow. But it's been very like intentional, unintentional, right? I never thought that this was going to be like the space that I was in. And so I feel like TV animation, it became the thing that I was working in because I started working at DreamWorks TV. And then video games, like I've always loved obviously playing video games. Mm-hmm. And during the pandemic, Julia Bianco-Scheffling from the Help Network reached out to me to see if I was interested in doing a Black History Month conversation with the Help Network, who does a lot of video game casting. Yeah. And then that's how we met on the internet. And then like they, you know, started hitting me up and asking if I was interested in like casting and voice directing for video games. And I was like, yeah. So they are the ones who started giving me these opportunities and look out for me in that sort of place. And I was like, yeah. And so like, I was like, I've never done this before. So they had me like shadow on some games and game record so that I understood like what was different or similar from what I was already doing. So it was, that's what got me into it. And I've always loved games, you know, and they do a lot of like the English voice casting for like Nintendo and like Insomniac and like all of that sort of stuff. So I was like, yeah, get me into there. So it's been really, really cool working with people who, again, are championing people of color, women of color, people, you know, diverse people, and trying to help bring them into spaces that they wouldn't, you know, originally be involved in. So,
yeah. Have you, I would say, like over the years since you've been voice directing, have you, or how have you seen like the demand for like voice acting and directing evolve like over the years, especially looking between like the TV animation and video games? Because they've both been present, but like, how have you seen that demand for it grow?
I feel like there are a lot of video games happening. Always. I feel like video games has been a very steady constant. I feel like TV animation sometimes gets revved up in studio system, that I feel like we had like some ebbs and flows of work for that. But I think that the demand for it versus like the want to get into it kind of comes into play. Like I feel like there are more people, especially since the pandemic, who have wanted to become voice actors. Because during the pandemic, like it was more accessible to people all over as opposed to just like people in like the big hubs. And so now that like that seal has been broken, there are a lot more voice actors that are, you know, coming in every year. So but the demand ebbs and flows based off of like what productions are happening. And like directing is a niche. So, and it's a niche that has been gate kept for a really long time. So as I said, it kind of ebbs and flows with necessity. Like pandemic booming, after pandemic, a lot of jobs are going away. Like, so you know, it's like a weird sort of, it's not really like an evolution, because there has been an evolution, but it's more just kind of an ebbing and flowing where it's like a push and pull of like want and need. So
absolutely. I think it seems like that's something that I think just like that post-pandemic lull, like I've seen it span across like just multiple industries. And you know, me being in video games myself, like I definitely like see exactly what you're talking about, where like that, you know, and kind of we saw this boom during the pandemic, and then post-pandemic we saw things like kind of taper off and kind of go into the negative with like in terms of opportunities and jobs and games, and then, you know, mass layoffs and all these kinds of things. So I'm curious. Go ahead.
I was saying, I feel like it's slowly starting to rebuild again.
Good.
But then AI is coming in, and so it's like a lot of trying to figure out what the landscape of this industry is going to be and continue to be in the future. And I would say, like, I did all of Ada Twist, my very first like big studio series. I did all of that remote from here, from this very spot. Like, yeah, like I didn't meet the kids in person until we had our wrap party, and they were all giants and teenagers.
So
a
lot of time passed.
a lot of time passed. So
that I'm glad you brought that up too. Like it's like, okay, here's we got through the pandemic, and now here's another curveball with AI. Like so I think you're absolutely right. Like seeing what this industry is going to become and evolve into. And I think my hope is still that the actors and like the people with all of this talent, you know, remain at the forefront and because that's where our creativity comes from. Like nothing can beat that you know, in my opinion. So who knows? Who knows? Yeah. We're just at the top of the hour, so we're gonna take a quick 5-minute break to grab water and things like that, stretch for our guests and our audience. Folks in chat, definitely get your questions ready, because when we return, we are going to open up for Q&A with the audience. So go ahead and you can drop your questions in the chat for Ashley, and we will be right back. right. We are back.
Hi, hello.
All right, so we are opening up with some Q&A with Ashley. So you guys can continue to drop your questions in chat. We have our first question from Gaming Musume, who wants to know what is the most fun part of voice directing, and what are some of the more challenging parts?
The most fun part of voice directing for me is like being able to play around and like have fun and be silly with people while getting paid for it.
Yes.
And and also like being able to like work with people that I've known for a really long time, or like voice actors that like knew me when I was an assistant or intern working in this capacity, which is like people that I've been around for a while, or who have always like supported me, or people who like, you know, that I've just looked up to. And then challenging, I would say like there are sometimes on products where people have very specific opinions on how like a scene will go, or there are many differing opinions on how things will go, and making sure that everyone is getting heard and everyone is getting all of their needs met. It's a lot of juggling while also making sure like the actor understands what is happening, and that like kind of just like there's a lot of juggling of people I would say in this job. So just making sure that it's all kind of working together. That's probably the most difficult part of it for me.
Yeah, I bet you probably have to balance different wants and needs and personalities and different ideas of how things should go. So it seems like as the director, like you're kind of at the center of all of that.
Yeah, and I'm the translator. So it's like I have to make sure to translate like a note into actor speak.
Oh wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because see, this is why you go home and stay silent after when you get done with the session.
Yeah, it's a lot of mental power.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Marcus Too Loud. Any recommendations or ideas for someone who's trying to break into voice acting? That's my husband. Hey,
take a class. Gotta take a class first. Voice acting is acting, so taking a voice acting class to start is good, just to see like what the acting style is, what is happening now, like taking current voice acting classes. A lot of times there are voice academies that have casting directors come in and do like master classes, or they'll have like, you know, veteran actors teaching, learning from them. I think that's a really good way to break into it. And like there are a lot of different ways to go into, and there are a lot of different types of voice acting. It's not all just animations, commercials, it's promos and trailers, it's audiobooks, it's audio description. There are so many different types. There's dubbing. There's so many different types of voice acting. So kind of like finding what you fit into and what you enjoy. But I would say definitely a class. And then there's also a website that I always give people whenever they ask. It's called iwannabeavoiceactor.com. And it's like from this actor, D. Bradley Baker. He's been in everything forever. Who put together a bunch of resources and information and advice on one big website with a bunch of tabs that kind of bring you like whether or not you're beginning or getting back into it, or you're already a working pro or whatever. Like that is a great sort of place to learn about it. And then just acting classes, not just voice acting classes, like general acting classes.
Okay, so voice acting classes, general acting classes, and then the website is iwannabeavoiceactor.com.
Yeah, I want to be a voice actor.com. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. We got it noted. Thank you. Our next question is from Guava Pixel Studios. I love that name.
What up?
They want to know, do actors tend to provide their input into how something should sound, or is it fully based on your direction?
It's collaborative. So like I'll read you in and you do it how you would naturally respond to that. And then I will just kind of go in and tweak. Or if it's or if we're doing a scene or a line and we realize that maybe you're standing a little bit closer, a little bit further, like I will direct in that way. Or if there's like a certain word that I want to emphasize, like the actor, I always start off with what the actor's natural intention is, and then we just go in and tweak.
Nice.
Mhm.
I love that it's collaborative.
Yeah, I
you-
mean, everyone directs differently, but I really like being able to work with the actor because the actor becomes the character while they're in the booth, right? And
Mhm.
I think that the most authentic way of like performing a character is if you're performing it authentically, if you're like not trying to, if you're like actually responding to what is happening in the scene. I think that's really important. So
Yeah. I think that, I love that you mentioned like the actor becomes the character in the booth. Like that has to be such a cool thing to witness.
mhm.
Like to see it live in front of you. Like we're getting it after the fact. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like after it's all been said and done, but like you are seeing the magic happen real time, like before it gets out into the world. I just feel like that has to be such a cool moment for you.
Yeah, I really like being able to work and create with people.
Yeah.
And especially like actors and like the showrunners, the writers and stuff, really like trying to figure out what this world is and what it's gonna sound like. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. I have a question.
Yeah.
If I may. I know I've been asking all the questions, but
No,
I
yeah,
do have a question. I know that you're getting into like doing voice directing for video games. Is there a specific genre of video games that you really would like to voice direct for?
I would love to do like a dialogue heavy mystery,
Ooh,
like a story heavy like mystery game. Would be cool. Like the Life is Strange, and like
mhm.
that sort of franchise. Like I really love that sort of like mystery clue. I think that would be really interesting to direct.
It would.
Yeah. Or just like something story based. I really like story based games.
Me too.
And it's as close to like animation, I guess, because the storylines and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
I really would love to direct something like that.
Yeah, I think that I love story games too. I'm a very big story game person.
Mhm.
I didn't really get into like playing like online like multiplayers until I was an adult. I was a story game girl through and through and still am.
Mhm.
So I definitely agree. I think that would be like a lot of fun to get into, and then especially because stories, they can go in so many directions and there's so much emotion that has to come out, so many different kinds of emotion, whether it's being happy or sad or angry or combat.
Mhm.
Like even like I that's one thing I'd love to know too from you is like, I don't know, how do you like, it's one thing to direct somebody when they're like, they have like lines and stuff, but like in combat, like you have to like make all these different kind of noises.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I feel like for me, especially for like combat stuff, I give it too, where I'm like, can you give me a punch to the gut? Small, medium, large. So small would be like a medium would be like a and large would be like a but like I will kind of give examples like to start off, and then I kind of let them go, and then if they go too wild, I'll like try to
reel it in.
But like I always give them context. It's like you're standing in the middle of a battlefield, there are a bunch of swords clanging around you, you're trying to get your voice over to a person that's like 10 feet away from you. How loud would you be? But also maybe like you're bleeding from like your side. So what would that feel like,
Oh my God.
Yeah. Or it's like if you're getting punched, you just got socked in your right shoulder.
Mhm.
Like, where would that kind of bring your movement versus like being slapped in the face or like being
Yeah.
choked or whatever?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God.
yeah.
So much. We have another question from Gaming Musume. Gaming Musume says, you mentioned how working with children, you have to evoke a lot of different emotions. How do you manage those emotions once the recording is over? Oh, and same with the adults you work with. Oh, that's a really good question.
That is a good question. I think that a lot of times in preschool, it's light. We're not even like, I do a lot of preschool directing, and there's not like a lot of like drama in preschool. So like a lot of times when I'm working with kids are on those types of properties, and we have fun. Like, I try to have fun. I goof around a lot. Like, I never am too negative with failure. I'm always like hyping them up through failures and stuff. They say a word wrong, or like they say a word that changes the intention. We joke around about it, and I'll be like, great, let's just try it again. You know, like I have never like I try not to get too hard on actors when we're trying to find those emotional moments. When they're out of it, like, we're just back to our normal selves. Like, actor Ashley, we play around, we say great job, like we do a lot of there's a lot of celebration like when you're done with, because it's a job and it's work and it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and so like we always try to celebrate at the end of the session of like
good. That's so good,
regardless of children or adults. So
that's so good.
And if they need breaks, we take breaks. If there's something where it's like it's getting too much, we just like we'll take a second and we'll kind of recalibrate and go back. Like, I always keep an eye on it, and I think it's something that started when I was working in the pandemic, because I was directing kids in the pandemic from their closets as the only other adult other than their parents and their teacher that they were in communication with. So a lot of my job was also kind of seeing where they were emotionally and making sure that I wasn't doing anything to that they would have to talk about in therapy.
Right.
You know, so like I have to make sure that like I was there as like a fun, like that I made what I was doing fun and like something that they wanted to do.
Right.
So
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. Like, not doing anything, like you said, that they would need to talk to in therapy, but like, you know, just being so like, I feel like you have a lot of emotional intelligence. Like, I am picking up on this, and that is a skill that's a very important skill. And I think it's something that, like, when you think of like voice directing and things like that and voice acting, like, you don't really think about how you need to have a high level of emotional intelligence in order to be able, because acting is emotional. Like, acting is, like you said, it's performance, and it's performance from so many different angles. And like having that ability to be like self-aware and emotionally aware and emotionally intelligent, so that you can coach or direct adults all the way down to kids in preschool, and understanding, you know, you kind of have to meet them where they are. And I just think that's like such a huge skill that you can't just go to school and learn that. Like, you have to learn that through experience and stuff too. So shout out to you for having all that. Like, I would love to work with, like, just like talking to you and hearing your approach and stuff like that. I'm like, dang, I want to work with Ashley. Like, direct me on something. I don't even know what. I'm not even a voice actor, but I'm like, I like, you just have that. You have the, like, your spirit and your energy is very comforting and warm.
Thank you.
And I think that really helps bring out the best in the talent. I know I can say that and speak for myself. Like, that would help me be my best for sure. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that. All right, well, we have come to the close of our chat. Thank you all so much to the audience for your amazing questions today. Y'all were so amazing with your questions. And thank you, Ashley, for being an amazing guest for our code chat. We really appreciate it, just hearing your journey and your story and what you're working on. And thank you for like taking us through your journey. and sharing your craft with us. You know, that you work so hard to develop. So yeah, just thank you all around for your time and your energy.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course, of course. Well, we're gonna wrap up. Ashley, I'm gonna put you backstage. You can hang out there while I wrap up, and I'll connect with you once we end the stream. But can you quickly tell folks where can they find you online so we can keep up with what you got going on?
I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Ashley NGU DeWitt. And yeah, I have a website, ashleynguyen.com. That's generally where I update with stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. And then we have a command in chat. So that is, I put the wrong, I put X. There we go. You can check out Ashley's website right there in the chat to learn more about her. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up, and Ashley, I'll be with you in just a moment.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, y'all. That is going to conclude our code chat for today. Thank y'all so much for being here with us today, for your amazing questions, and of course for supporting Brown Girl Gamer Code. We are always so grateful for your support for shows like this. We've been doing code chats since 2019. I cannot believe that. Oh my gosh. But we will continue to do them because of the support from our community and our audience. So thank you all so much. I'm looking forward to continuing to do these. Make sure you're following Brown Girl Gamer Code on our socials. Check out our website, browngirlgamercode.com. If you want to see some of our previous code chats as well, they're on our YouTube channel. And yeah, we will continue to host events like this. But you all have a wonderful rest of your day and the rest of your week. We are going to raid out to another channel because we believe in sharing the love and sharing our community with other amazing folks. So stick around and hang out for the raid. Make sure you guys check out Ashley's website as well, and follow us on our socials. We're on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. We're on Blue Sky as well, so be sure, and TikTok. So make sure you check out our socials. And yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody.